Okay, so today I'm going to teach you guys how to make a bokeh effect using Gimp. So, fire up a new image, file new. And the first thing we want to do is create a hexagon shaped brush so that we can actually make those little fuzzy bokeh things. And it doesn't have to be a hexagon shaped brush, but like it could be a circle or whatever, but we're just going to go with hexagon, and you can mess with those shapes later on after you get what you're supposed to. So how we're going to do this is we're going to click on this blank document looking button. It means create a new brush. And if it doesn't open up an editor for you, just click on this edit brush button right here next to the create brush button. We're going to go with this square. And I'm just going to raise the radius a little bit just so that you can see what I'm doing, but it doesn't really make a difference. I'm going to put the spikes to 6 for hexagon and put the hardness at 1. There, now we have a good looking hexagon brush, and I'm just going to select the paint tool and creating a new layer. I'm just going to title the layer Bokeh 1, obviously, and I'm just going to start clicking away. Now you might notice that even though my color is set as black, what I'm actually painting on is gray. That's because the opacity is set as 20, but it's pretty much your choice. I like having the opacity a little low just so that later on you get a really cool effect. But even if you start out with a totally opaque brush, you can just lower the opacity at the layer opacity button here. So now, after you think you made quite a few hexagons on your bokeh 1 layer, you can create a new layer. We're going to do the same thing except for going randomly again so that we have a lot of hexagons all over the page. It doesn't really matter how much where you put them, and the overlapping is totally fine. It actually looks pretty nice later on. After you think you made a lot of hexagons on your page, again, go to Filters, Blur, Gaussian Blur. Okay. By default, the blur is set as 5, and that's how we're going to go with this time. So just hit OK. Now it's blurred a tiny little bit. You can't really see the difference, but that's fine. Create a new layer and start bokehing again. This time, if there's too much, it looks really all over the place. So just go to Reshow Gaussian Blur and set it at I don't know, around 30. Okay, cool. Again, go, okay, we're gonna do the same thing one more time, and you don't have to have a lot of hexagons. I think I overdid the second layer, but that's fine. It's pretty much up to your preference how many hexagons you put on the page. Okay, so for the last layer, we're just gonna go with 100. Okay. Now this looks kind of weird. It looks like a bunch of overlapping hexagons, and for this one I really don't think we need this many, so I'm just gonna lower the opacity of the second one a little, but that's your choice. I'm gonna create a new layer called, and I'm just gonna title it Rainbow because that's what we're doing, and put it at the very top of the layer stack. Now select the blend tool and make sure your gradient is set as full saturation spectrum, whichever you want, and then just make a nice gradient from the top to the bottom. Yeah. Now set the mode of this layer as overlay. Okay, so now we have this nice little rainbow bokeh effect, and sometimes if you want to use this kind of bokeh effect for background for like a presentation or something, then you might not really want all this noisy background, but you just like the effect kind of, then what you can do is first go to layer, new from visible, which just creates a new layer from the visible layers right here. And then go to colors, brightness, contrast, and you could kind of mess with the contrast. Lowering the contrast and raising the brightness a little gives it a kind of muted effect. I'm not sure which kind of one you want. Just raising the brightness even can make a pretty nice background. And one other thing that I want to say, for the gradient, you don't have to use the rainbow one. You can use a different one. For example, I'm just gonna show you guys an example with the horizon too. So I'm just gonna make. Now you have these colors kind of lined up. The horizon 2 has this little line in the middle, which is kind of annoying, but you can, mess with the gradients. You can also create your own gradients and do that. I'll make a video for that if you guys want one. One more thing you can do is create something like this, which is the background's black. It's not that hard. All you have to do is use a white brush. Thanks for watching. That's the end of my bokeh tutorial.